Hi guys, welcome to another Asus Transformer Prime video, and this is a special video because I've managed to get in my possession for a very limited time only one of these. Trying to nudge its way past the Asus Transformer Prime and push it out there, but the Asus Transformer Prime is pushing back, and it's a marvellous battle that we are about to engage in. I would love to do a properly edited video of my test between the new iPad and the Asus Transformer Prime, but I have this for about an hour, so I'm just going to try and do as many videos as I can comparing the two, and hopefully you can see the difference between the two, the benefits of the iPad and the Asus Transformer Prime. I'm not going to take the side of the Asus Transformer Prime, even though that's the one I own, because I did have an iPad in a previous life, and they each have their own benefits, but this is a brand new iPad with all the new features, so let's delve straight into it and take a look at the differences between the two devices. So before we turn on either of the devices, let's have a look at the design and the aesthetics of the two, of the iPad at the top here, the Asus Transformer Prime at the bottom. As you can see, the Asus Transformer Prime is wider by, I would say, about an inch. The iPad seems to have more of a, I'm not sure of the definite aspect ratios, but kind of a 4:3 or 16:19 ratio, where the Asus Transformer Prime is more widescreen. I believe they both have a 10.1 inch screen display. If I put them portrait wise, you can see then that the Asus Transformer Prime again is longer in that sense, but if you just sort of put them on top of each other, you can see that the iPad is just a touch fatter. Now, what this means is that when you hold the Asus Transformer Prime in widescreen, it works absolutely fine, and obviously when you have it docked, it looks very much like a laptop widescreen display. However, when you hold it in a portrait style, I have to admit that it's fairly cumbersome to use as a tablet, because the text squashes in too much, and it's a bit, I suppose, top heavy because you hold it, because it's a little bit longer, so there's kind of a bit more weight up there. And I must admit that I do prefer the iPad because it's perhaps not as good when you're watching a film or when you have it in landscape mode for reading websites, but when you put it in a portrait mode, it's just as usable and very good, whereas I tend to never use the Transformer Prime in the portrait mode. Maybe that's because I mostly have it plugged into the dock. As for weight wise, well, I am told, or I think that the Asus Transformer Prime is lighter, and it's actually definitely noticeable. It is, I would say, noticeably lighter in the sense that when you're holding it, certainly now when I'm holding it in landscape mode, it feels quite light and very agile. The iPad does have a bit of weight to it, I must admit, so when I'm holding it in my hands, I could get a little more tired. Again, now, I use the iPad again in the docking state, so perhaps weight isn't so much of an issue, but the iPad is noticeably more heavy, which is quite interesting. Let's have a look now at actually how thin they are. I have the camera in my hand now to look at the iPad here and the Asus Transformer Prime here, and I would say there is no noticeable difference whatsoever between the thinness of the two. I did believe when I was reading articles that the iPad was slightly fatter, but maybe that was the iPad 2. The iPad 3, if anything, looking at that, is fractionally fatter, but if I run my fingers along the top, the actual screen of a Transformer Prime maybe comes out a little bit more. So the iPad is perhaps thinner. It's so close that I can't really decide which is the fattest. In either case, they're both really thin, and again, very easy to hold in the hand. So you can't really claim a winner between either the Asus Transformer Prime or the iPad in that respect. Okay, let's do some first impression tests then when you try and unlock the two devices and use them for the first time. As you can see, immediately the Asus Transformer Prime has a more striking impact because you have the live wallpaper running in the background, whereas iPad is just a static screen. And we unlock the two screens, and we can see that the Android operating system of the Asus Transformer Prime kind of wins again. There's a lot more active stuff going on the Transformer Prime, because you can, of course, modify it to almost your heart's content in terms of display, icons, these widgets here, which are really the things that set the two apart. Whereas on the iPad, it's just icons and icons and nothing else. Notifications, of course, you can just roll down the notification bar on the iPad there. Fairly new thing, and in the Asus Transformer Prime you have the notification thing here. I kind of feel as I'm preaching to the converted. I'm sure you know how to do each of these things anyway, but first impressions, if there was a complete newbie consumer looking at the two devices, you'd think, oh, this one looks more interesting because there are more things that, like, look at all these wonderful effects I can do with the live wallpaper and stuff. And yeah, it looks pretty good. But if we do some transition tests, as you can see, when I stop messing about with the iPad, the transition is probably much cleaner on the iPad because obviously there's a lot less there, but on the iPad I can't check my Facebook feed from a home screen. I would have to go to into the Facebook application. Unfortunately, I don't have many options available on the iPad for using things like Facebook because it's not my iPad, so I can't log into all that sort of stuff. But there, just to show you very quickly that, again, the iPad, I can press on an icon and move that icon about, but can't really do anything other than that. Whereas on here, I can use my dock, which is also there on the iPad, of course, using Go Launcher to use the docking feature on the Transformer Prime, but I could pick up this battery widget here, which tells me how much battery I've got, and then if I wanted to, I could resize it and make it look much nicer and much bigger on the Transformer Prime. Can't do that on the iPad, of course. So, first impressions are that the Asus Transformer Prime wins. Of course, it's a much more complicated story than that because this takes a bit more user knowledge in order to make the widgets your size, download the correct widgets and so on, whereas the iPad is just to show you what the different applications are available on the two devices. Let's have a look at the two places where you can get more applications, Google Play and the iPad Store. As you can see, surprisingly, the iPad won that quick test. We'll just go back to the home pages of each of the two sites, which is going to take a little while. Let's go top charts, let's stick it there. So, the big difference here straight away between the Asus Transformer Prime and the iPad are that you have actually applications that are divided into iPad and smartphone, whereas the Asus Transformer Prime, you have this little button up here to send you into random tablet applications, but nothing specific. If I do a search for a particular type of app, so let's try the BBC, and get that one in there, and then we'll also try the BBC in the iPad. We will see here that the Asus Transformer Prime has lots of different BBC applications, but which ones are tablet based and which ones are smartphone based, not a clue. There you can see, so we're showing the iPad apps, and so I know exactly where to go to get all the iPad apps I want straight away. Smartphone ones are down there. It's a big Achilles heel that I have a big problem with in terms of the Android operating system. Why are tablet users not being given the options and the ease of use to find tablet optimized apps? Perhaps the argument is that there are so few tablet optimized applications on Android that they're hidden into the whole marketplace to kind of hide the fact that there's so few applications out there. Not so for the iPad. So obviously it's an under-resourced area still, Google Play for tablet applications. But nonetheless, let's just do some quick navigation. So we'll start tapping on some random applications. So let's both look at the BBC website. And again, the speed's not too bad. The speed is seeming to be pretty nippy on the iPad at the moment, and the scrolling, I have to say, the scrolling on the iPad is very silky smooth. It's absolutely delicious. We'll look at this more on websites, but it's very, very nice. So let's do that now. Let's have a look at the web browsing experience on the two devices. Okay, so I'm going to go into the Safari browser for the iPad, and we're going to use Dolphin browser for the Asus Transformer Prime. Perhaps maybe I should use Dolphin on both of them, but I'd have to download it on this iPad, and I don't want to download applications on an iPad that's not mine. So we'll see what the experience is like. I'm choosing Dolphin because I've said in previous videos that I think Dolphin is the most reliable one. So we'll just go around the BBC website and see how well the two sites cope with the BBC. So let's just launch the applications. And I will choose the BBC here, and I will. Already we have a problem with the Asus Transformer Prime. It's loading up a page that is taking a long time. So we'll go on to the BBC News website. So I hope you can see this. Try and press them at the same time. And didn't quite press the BBC one at the right time, unfortunately, on the Transformer Prime. So it's taking a little bit of time. But as you can see, it's still loading up the page. This is one of the problems again with the Asus Transformer Prime in terms of its browser response. Sometimes it's very quick, sometimes it's not very quick, and on that occasion it was not very quick. We'll do some general scrolling. Again, it's ultra smooth on the iPad, but on the Asus Transformer Prime, perhaps just not quick as such a refresh rate. I'm not sure, it just doesn't feel quite right. We'll do some zooming in now on a particular part of the page. As you can see, the iPad absolutely perfect, and you can do it very quickly, whereas the Transformer Prime, the more I do it, it's just struggling a little bit. It's not too bad, but when you compare, I have to say that the iPad, in terms of the scrolling, has always been on the iPad 1 straight through to a new iPad. The scrolling has been perfection, and when you compare it to something that isn't perfection, you're always a little bit disappointed. So let's try and go to the sports pages. We'll see what happens here. Again, the Asus Transformer Prime lagging behind a little bit, and the iPad already done fine, dominated. That's that test there, so the browser response already looking like it's going to the iPad. We'll try again, we'll go into another page. Again, the iPad ready to go, and the Asus Transformer Prime still lagging behind. So it's clear, and this is perhaps the biggest part of any tablet, is the browsing experience. That is what you use probably most on your your tablet, is looking around at different websites, and the clear indication is the iPad is better at doing that. And I have thought this ever since I saw an iPad at a conference. It just seems so much quicker. We'll try and play something live now. We'll go to a live MotoGP. I think the iPad will play it because it has video support on the BBC website. I'm having to press an extra button here on Dolphin because I've indicated that I want Flash to work, so I think it's working now. We'll just start the iPad one going. As you can see, I've had to do very little on the iPad one, and it's just gone straight in and working with absolutely no problems. The Asus Transformer Prime still thinking about matters at the moment, but finally it does work. We'll just turn the sound down there. And looking at the quality, I would say that the iPad is probably better. We'll do something now. We'll try and go full screen on each of these and see what happens. I do fear for my Asus Transformer Prime when I do this. So the iPad immediately went to full screen, and it's kind of kept the web browser there. The Asus Transformer Prime, again, having to think about it, and think about it for a very long time, it seems like here. Finally working, lots of blocky distortion to begin with, but I think it is now working. No, it's still thinking about it, still hasn't properly loaded up the page. The iPad going along. I think if you was doing this in a real world test now, you'd be pretty bored of waiting for the Asus Transformer Prime to finish, and it's still not working properly. It's always been a bit of a bugbear for the Asus Transformer Prime. It can't seem to handle full screen flash on any browser. Stock browser seems to be the best, but it's never reliable on there. And the quality on this one is blocky and very distorted. Probably thinking that the streaming quality can't handle it. On the iPad, it's been absolutely perfect for over a minute now. So I have to give it to the iPad in perhaps the most important aspect of using a tablet. It's browsing capability. And when you can play videos on a website, of course you can't always because of a flash issue, but when it does work, it really does work on the iPad. So I'm going to have to give a bit of a thumbs down there to my trusty steed, the Transformer Prime on that one. And see if I can stop it. There we are, finally stopped it. Okay, let's do, and now the iPad started up again. Okay, now we will try an application. which should be working much better on the Asus Transformer Prime because it is a Google application. It is Google Earth. Let's see how these two devices deal with Google Earth. iPad straight in there, already loaded, and it's homing in on where I live, I think, or maybe it's going to where I last looked. But as you can see, iPad 3 already there, and now I can already start playing with it. Google Earth still considering its options. And finally, it does work. Let's see if we can both get them to center on our current location. I'm not sure how to do that on the iPad. There we are. This is a big problem that always happens on the Asus Transformer Prime 1, is it zooms out and then it just leaves itself lingering for a while. I don't know what the Transformer Prime is doing at the moment. The iPad is just taking a little bit of time to refocus, but I think it's found out where we're living. The Asus Transformer Prime now, as I press the centering compass button again, it thinks as though I think it's found where it is, but we'll see. So with the iPad, I'm already ready to start looking at the house where I live. Maybe I shouldn't go too close into that because it's none of your business where I live. But yeah, the iPad working fine, and I can scroll about. I'll try and do some 3D stuff. Asus Transformer Prime still running and trying to find out where it lives. Again, from a consumer point of view, this would be unacceptable, I think, for a £500 or $800 device. Finally, it finds where we are, and now we can have a look. But as you can see, it still hasn't got a much a zoomed in detail photograph. We're still waiting for that to load. It's so slow as to be not unusable, but just so frustrating to use, even though it's an Android application on an Android operating system. Defies belief, really, that it should be like this. Let's go to London now, and we'll try and turn on some 3D buildings and see how the two devices cope with that. So the Asus Transformer Prime is off and running. The iPad quickly chasing it, and we'll see what happens. The iPad, I would say, has got there first again. It's ready to use. I'm zooming in on the iPad. The Asus Transformer Prime actually zoomed in quicker to begin with. So let's turn on our 3D buildings and see what happens. 3D buildings have been turned on there. Can I turn on 3D buildings in this one? I'm not sure if I can. Maybe that's one advantage of the Asus Transformer Prime, that you can actually turn on 3D buildings. However, what just happened there was a crash. So what's the point in having 3D buildings if you can't get them to work? Don't think I can turn it on the iPad, but the test has already been failed by the Asus Transformer Prime because it crashed. So there we are. That's a quick demonstration of an application, and the iPad has passed it much better than the Asus Transformer Prime. Unfortunately, that's pretty much all the time I have with the iPad. I could go on showing you other applications, but to show basically how the two applications work, two devices work, is that the iPad is on the surface. It seems much better and much quicker at being able to deal with different applications and certainly browsing. Just having a quick go on the BBC website to show you how that works. Everything is always just very smooth and reliable on the iPad, and the latest version is excellent as well. I suppose I should try and show you the pixel resolution. To be fair, even though this is what they call a Retina display, as you can see, I can't see any pixels on there when I focus upon the Flipboard one. That's the BBC News one. I have to say that on the Asus Transformer Prime, I find it very difficult to see any pixels either. Unfortunately, I haven't got the same icon, but that's what it looks like on the Asus Transformer Prime. I would say the colours are a little better on the iPad. I've also had a bit of an issue with the colours on the Asus Transformer Prime, but I do seem to have a deeper, richer colour slightly on the iPad compared to the Asus Transformer Prime. But they both still pale in insignificance when you look at the Samsung Galaxy S2 or any of the Samsung Galaxy screens that have been around recently. They definitely do have the edge when it comes to screen display. So there we are. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to ask me any other questions to do tests on further iPad things because I don't have an iPad. What I will say in summary is, does it make me want to get an iPad again? Well, I was tempted a couple of months ago to get an iPad, but I built up such a following on my Asus Transformer Prime videos, and I enjoy doing the videos so much. But I will stick with the Asus Transformer Prime. But I do look longingly often at the iPad and think, oh, I just wish the browsing was quicker on the Asus Transformer Prime. There seems no reason for it. The innards of the Asus Transformer Prime are very powerful, but the optimization just doesn't reflect it. But the iPad, from the moment you take it out of the box, even though some of it does look a bit primitive compared to the Asus Transformer Prime, it just works, and it works very well, and it's always reliable. And with a tablet, that's kind of what you want, instant efficiency. A tablet on the right hand side tries to do that, and it tries to give you more, but it doesn't always execute it. The iPad always does. Does that mean I'm turning into an Apple fanboy? Well, I did purge myself of Apple products about a year ago. I have my Samsung Galaxy S phone, which works absolutely perfectly, and if it was the same thing for the tablet, then I wouldn't have an issue. I do really think it's all about the Android tablet operating system and the Asus Transformer Prime, which just, after many firmware updates, still doesn't meet the standards you expect of such a luxury device. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to give a thumbs up to both applications because I'm not biased or a fanboy in any way of either of the two devices. I went for the Android and I'm sticking with it, but the Apple, I can see why so many people love them and have them, as I had one before. Take care, guys, and I'll see you again soon in another Asus Transformer Prime video. Clear off.